Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Raising Cane studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour 2, last hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We are at Two Brothers Smoke Meats in the Cotton District in Starkville. 1 hour before pitch, LSU and Mississippi State game 1 of a 3-game series. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Of course, the NFL draft ongoing. Round 1 in the books last night. Rounds 2 and 3 tonight. And then 4 through 7 coming at you tomorrow. Sean Fazende covers the Saints down for Fox 8 in New Orleans. He's good enough to give us a few minutes here at the top of hour number 1 on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Sean, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm good. Busy weekend. How are you?
It's a very busy weekend. We're doing well. The Saints got things started with Jordan Tyson. Based on what you saw on the board, what'd you think?
It was interesting the way the board set up because I didn't think the board would necessarily set up in that exact way. Jordan Tyson was a guy that I know they did a lot of homework on. They brought him in for a visit, went to that workout. There was a little bit of question marks with him based off of the fact he didn't do much in the pre-draft process until really that private workout was the week before, or the final week before the draft. So clearly the Saints felt like the questions they had about him were answered. But you mentioned the board. They had a chance to take Ruben Bain, which I didn't think they were going to do based off Mickey Loomis's comments on Wednesday. And then they also had a chance to take Caleb Downs, which is probably the one most are looking at in terms of how do you bypass a cleaner prospect like him at a position of need for Jordan Tyson. That is a bit of a coin flip there. I thought for sure they would have had the opportunity to have Montour Delane on the board, but obviously Kansas City had other plans. They jumped the Saints to get to 6 and came out and admitted as much that they were afraid the Saints were going to take him. And they were probably right had that been the case, but it was not the case. So Jordan Tyson is now a Saint. Make no mistake about it. The Saints got the best playmaker, wide receiver in the draft. However, he has a significant injury history.
Is your biggest issue the injury history? Is everything on the field beyond injury check out for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
On the field, I think the skill set blends in beautifully with what this offense needs. They don't have a guy that once the ball's in his hands after the catch can make plays. I mean, they don't have a true run after catch guy. And you watch Jordan Tyson play, that's all he does. And when he runs with a kind of a physical nature that you don't always see from wide receiver position. He's got incredible, almost like basketball-like hang time in the air to make, contested catches and going up with the catch radius to get the ball. I think that blends in beautifully with, Chris Olave, Devon Vele, Jalen Polk, because they have their respective skill sets, but they don't have a guy that can truly just catch it and go. A 3-yard slant to a 30-yard gain, like Tyson can do. But injuries are real. You talk about hamstring for a receiver on both sides. I was a little confused as to his pre-draft process, why he couldn't do anything for 5 months, but clearly they had their plan. And then you had the knee injury a couple years back. The collarbone injury, I think, is something that you can get by with that. I mean, that's just a bone break. But I like the pick. I'll love the pick if Tyson can stay healthy.
Sean Fazande's our guest, Fox 8 in New Orleans. All right, Saints are on the clock relatively early today in round 2. Do you have a position or a couple players that you're targeting there that you think the Saints may pull the trigger on?
Got to be defense, right? Yeah. And look, at this point, I'm not overly. You can go at all 3 levels, whether it's an edge player, whether that's a linebacker. I'm thinking cornerback probably has to ascend to the top of the page in terms of the needs and the situation you're in at that spot. You got Terrell from Clemson. You got both of the Tennessee corners still out there, Colton Hood and McCoy. You got Fitz from South Carolina. So there are some guys, Keontae Scott from Miami. So you've got some guys available at that position. Wouldn't shock me at all if they get aggressive today, especially in that second round, to where the grade can match the actual position of need, and cornerback would absolutely fill that both those roles.
How many picks do you think they'll make over the next 2 days?
So they have 7 left.
Right.
They went in with 8. It wouldn't shock me if they come out with 7 total. So 6 more. Look, you got to understand they had a big draft class last year, 9 players. So, and I asked Nikki about this yesterday. Sometimes a big class, you try to follow it up with a big class. Well, That's 17 first and second year players. Not all of those guys may not make the team. So there's some math involved where you might be able to be a little more aggressive this year than maybe you were last year.
I would agree with that, Sean. We appreciate some time. Best of luck this weekend. Y'all covered excellently, and we'll react to it when it's all said and done.
All right, bud. Enjoy Starkville.
We're doing it. Sean Zan down there in New Orleans with Fox 8. We're here, as he mentioned, at Two Brothers Smoke Meats in Starkville. I would suggest these are the best wings I've ever had. They are that good. They're smoked. They are crunchy. They've got an incredible flavor to them. They got all the sauces you could desire. This is an awesome spot. This is, to me, the quintessential college experience here. It's a Friday afternoon. The sun's out. Baseball is going to be played a little bit later on. It's a small town. Vibes are good. Cocktails are out. This is a great setting. We've got some LSU fans that have joined us here on the balcony. Certainly a lot of Maroon here. Rivers' whole crew is here. I'm a sucker for this. I will be completely candid with you. I love college towns. You will not find anybody on earth who loves LSU as much as I do. But Baton Rouge is not a college town. It's a city with a college in it. And that's fine with me. I love living in Baton Rouge. I'm going to raise my family in Baton Rouge, and I love it. But there's something about Starkville, Mississippi, Oxford, Mississippi, Auburn, Alabama, Athens, Georgia, that is just a little bit different, and I love it. And I spent a lot of time in these towns in my college years. I went to every game LSU played except for one in my 5 years of college. I did not go to the bowl game that LSU played against Penn State in the slot, but I went everywhere else. I went to every place in the SEC at that point. Have not been to Missouri, Texas, or Oklahoma now, but at that point there were 12 teams in the league. I went to every single one of them. And I love these college towns, and Starkville has its incredible charm. It's a punchline, a punching bag to a lot of people. I'm not necessarily in that number. I love it here, and I can't wait to see the new baseball stadium. But this is a great setting. I love this, and this is the reason why I said back in November when we were going through budget meetings, we're like, hey, can I go to Starkville for the series? And they're like, yeah, we can make that happen, and we did. And I'm thrilled I'm here. I did not know that LSU would be 6-12 in league play. I did not know that Jake Brown would be hurt or Cooper Moore would be hurt. I did not know that these would be the circumstances. But in a sense, it brings me in here with a little bit lower expectation and a little bit more ability to just kind of appreciate the surroundings. And this has been awesome. And we still got 45 minutes to roll through. So I appreciate Two Brothers for having us here. Our Friday shows are brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. To kind of put a bow on what Sean said there, and look forward into round 2 and beyond for the Saints. It does make a lot of sense with those 3 corners on the board, both Tennessee corners and Avion Terrell from Clemson. That might be the spot. That might be the position. It feels like anything you do offensively at this point is for depth purposes. I don't think you're going to draft another starting player at this point in the draft. I mean, where would you put him? You're not drafting a starting running back that's going to go play in front of Achin. You're not drafting your quarterback. I don't think right guard is the only spot on the offensive line that's available to be one, and I just don't think you're going to bench Cesar Ruiz right now. And then at wide receiver, you just took one. You got Olave, like tight end. I don't think so. So if you're looking for a starting player, you're looking for an impact guy, I think it's got to be defense. Edge rushers, certainly there. It's a possibility. You could do linebacker, even though you've invested a lot of money in Caden Ellis. Maybe safety, even though I think you're okay there. You've got some money in Reed, some money in Sanker. Like, okay. I think corner is probably the spot. And I realize that you're not always drafting based on positional need every single time. Sometimes it's just best player. You've got a grade on this guy, and it falls to you, and that's where you're going to go. But as the more I think about it, the more I'm with Sean on the next pick. I think it's corner. I do believe at some point there are 2 things that are going to happen for the Saints in this draft. I think they're going to take an offensive lineman at some point. I think Mickey just believes in that, and so I think that's going to happen. And I also believe they're going to draft another wide receiver. When I saw the mock that was done, I can't even remember who did it. We went through so many of them, I can't even remember who did it. But when I saw the mock draft that had the Saints taking Xavion Thomas in the 6th round, I went, that makes a lot of sense. A guy that might be able to return for you, might be able to play some special teams for you, and might be able to be a 5th option at wide receiver. That makes a lot of sense late in the draft. And I think that's something that it's hard to find an offensive lineman in the 6th and 7th round. The guys who are really big and can move, there aren't very many of them, and you take them early. There are a lot of dudes who are 5'11 to 6'2 that can run really fast and might be able to help you. And that's where you might be able to find a guy that makes your team late in the draft. I'm not saying exactly Xavion Thomas, but in that mold. I think the Saints take an offensive lineman. I think they take a receiver later on. Right now, it feels like cornerback to start things off. I think that's probably where they're headed. We'll just have to see, and certainly we'll react to it as we get with you on Monday. We'll have a ton to do on Monday's show. All right, we're here, as I mentioned, at Two Brothers Smoke Meats in the Cotton District in Starkville. We're still going to talk a little bit about LSU and Mississippi State, and I want to talk a little bit about LSU's starting pitching and what I need from them this weekend. That's something that we can get into as we move forward. Might grab Rose and see if she wants to chat a little bit here in her hometown at the bottom of the hour as well. It's a festive environment here at Two Brothers. The drinks are flowing. The food has been passed around. We are walking distance to the dude, and it's a great Friday here in Starkville. Hope your Friday is going well as well. We'll take a time out. We will come back with more. It's a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
First American Bank and Trust. First American Bank and Trust. FABT.com is the website. FABT.com. 116 years First American Bank and Trust has been at it. They've grown to 25 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana. It's banking local with a bank that has the resources to help your business. You're looking at a commercial loan, First American Bank and Trust. It should comfort you when you apply for that commercial loan with First American Bank and Trust that the people making the decision on that lending process are local people. They're people you see at church. They're people that your kids go to school with. They're people that you went to high school with. That's because they're local. It's First American Bank and Trust. Whether you're in Tangipahoa, St. Tammany, down in Lafourche, Terrebonne, First American Bank and Trust has a location nearest you. So bank with the local company that's got the resources there to help you. Commercial loan, personal loan, it's First American Bank and Trust.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Chugging along here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Let me talk about One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. You know, not every renovation or remodel of your bathroom is this massive, time-consuming, financially distressing process. One Bath and Closets can do major renovations, absolutely. But sometimes it's simple. If you've got a bathtub you don't use, if you've got one of those 90s jacuzzis you don't use, or your bathroom is old, your bathtub is old, it's dingy, maybe it doesn't work properly, just take it out and put in a shower. A tub-to-shower conversion, that's the bread and butter at One Bath and Closets. If you've got a bathtub you don't use, think about the space that it's using in your bathroom. Take it out, put in a gorgeous glass walk-in shower, change the look of your bathroom, change the functionality of your bathroom, add value to your home. It's One Bath and Closets. You can find them online at onebathandclosets.com. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. One Bath and Closets online at onebathandclosets.com. All right, LSU and Mississippi State coming your way in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes as it were, 2:15 here in Starkville. Lineups are out, and I'll get to that in a second. But I want to say this. If you have waved the white flag on this team, I understand. If you have thrown in the towel with this team, I understand. There are expectations that come in this baseball program, and it's the top of the barrel or else. That's just what's been cultivated in Baton Rouge. Skip created it. Maneri fed it. Johnson's added a ton of coal to that fire. And I understand that you look at this team and you watch them play and you don't see a championship-level team, and that turns people off. That's just the way it is in Baton Rouge. And there's positives to that and negatives to that, but it doesn't change the reality. That is what it is. And this team is playing nowhere near and has not played anywhere near a championship level since week 2, period, in a discussion. So if you're looking at championships, like, that's where your discussion stops. If you want to watch this thing through and you want to see if there's something left in this team, you've left teams for dead. 08 team was left for dead. They rattled off 23 in a row. Rally Possum team in 2016 had nothing going. Rat runs on the field. They go nuts. 24 team was cooked. They got hot. It happens every year. We know that. If you have any hope that that's going to happen moving forward, it's probably not coming from the defense. It's probably not coming from an offense that's been pretty feckless the last 2 weeks and is missing its most productive hitter. It's probably coming from the talented guys who haven't quite hit their ceiling. And that starts with William Schmidt and today's starter, Kason Evans. if LSU is going to win 7 of the last 12 to make a push at this thing and try to get in the NCAA tournament, Evans and Schmidt have to turn a corner. And it can happen. It absolutely can happen. Pitchers get hot all the time. Ole Miss rode 2 of them to a title. They got to do it. And it's got to start against this Mississippi State team that's been kind of hit or miss. Like, you're looking at a state team and a state lineup whose most impactful players have had some struggles here and there. You're looking at Ace Reese, who's supposed to be their star. He's hitting .216 in league play. Now, he's got 6 homers in 6 weeks, but he's hitting .216 in the league. Other power bats. Garrick Fry is .254 in SEC play. Kevin Milewski is hitting .222 in league play. Reed Stallman, .231 in league play. Not great. There are spots in this lineup you can pitch to. Schmidt and Evans need to turn in 13 or 14 innings of great work this week. That is asking for the moon and stars, I know. That's what you're going to need, because I just don't think the offense is going to carry you to wins. Now let's talk about the offense and what you're going to see today. And this is a snapshot of where things are with this LSU team in 2026. Here's the lineup. They're starting with Chris Stanfield in the leadoff spot and left. Now, keep in mind, you're facing Tomas Valenkas, probably the best starter in the SEC. Just a vicious left-handed arm. 98-mile-an-hour fastball, 2 good sliders. He's tough. So you start at the top with the right-handed table setter in Stanfield. Then you go Curiel, Cerna, Aaron Beatty, Milam. You go Curiel from the left side, Cerna and Aaron Beatty from the right, and Milam will hit from the right as well. So 4 of your first 5 are guys that are going to swing it from the right side. And then you get to the bottom 4 in this lineup, and here's what you got. Mason Braun at first, John Pearson at third, William Patrick, the true freshman, in right, and Jack Ruckert, the other true freshman, at second. You are going on the road in perhaps the biggest venue in college baseball, where they'll probably set an attendance record tomorrow, I'm told. I've talked to 2 different people here in Starkville that say they'll set a college baseball attendance record tomorrow. It's their Super Bulldog weekend. It's the Starkville Derby. They're running wiener dogs behind us tomorrow. There's a lot going on here, and there's going to be a massive amount of people in that stadium for 3 days. Tomorrow will be the biggest crowd, and they expect to set records. You're throwing Omar Cerna in the 3-hole. You're throwing Mason Braun in the 6-hole. William Patrick in the 8-hole, and Jack Ruckert in the 9-hole. That is 4 true freshmen that you are playing on the road at Dudy Noble against the best pitcher in the SEC. To suggest offensively you're going to carry yourself to a win by bashing out 9 runs on 13 hits is fooling yourself. That's not going to happen. I'll be stunned. You're getting those guys some experience. You're seeing what they can do. But the other piece to this puzzle is something y'all already know. You have gotten to week number 6 of league play. So you've got, is that right? No, 7. Week number 7 of SEC play. 7, 8, 9, 10. 4 weeks. Week number 7 of SEC play. You do not have Zach York in your lineup. You do not have Trent Caraway in your lineup. You do not have Seth Dardar in your lineup. You do not have Braden Simpson in your lineup. Those are the 4 upperclassmen offensive transfers you took, save Daniel Harden from the junior college ranks. Your 4 D1 transfers who were brought in to take the place of Daniel Dickinson and Michael Braswell and Josh Pearson and Luis Hernandez and Jared Jones. They're not in there. Now, Dardar's hurt, but the other 3 aren't even in there. So that's where you are with this team. And I've said a couple times this week that I don't think Jay's just going to punt and just send the freshmen out there to, just flail away. And I still believe that. Like, Mason Braun didn't start on Tuesday. Zach York started on Tuesday because Mason Braun was 0 for 18. But those guys are not necessarily ready to be elite-level SEC players. Like, Cerna's getting there, and Braun has the ability, but he's been through the skids. Patrick and Ruckert are wet behind the ears. They have not seen this kind of pitching. So this is a remarkably intimidating spot for them in Starkville in front of a pretty intimidating crowd. We'll see if the early start time alters that a little bit, but it's a big spot for young people. So for LSU, today's going to be a tough one. If you're trying to get one here in Starkville, which I've suggested, and I talked about it in hour number 1, the best roadmap to getting a win here in Starkville is to have one of your starters really throw it great, and then bridge it with the bullpen guys, with Cowan, with Sheeran, with Grant Fontenot, with Connor Binge, with Cooper Williams. Like, those are the guys you got to trust. And I think they can get one this weekend in Starkville, but they're going to have to work. Now, I've been talking to Mississippi State fans for 5 hours now. I've been here for a while, been up here, and everybody here is petrified that LSU is going to find something and that LSU always breaks its slump with Mississippi State. And there's a lot of doomsday scenarios over here in Starkville. I think getting swept back-to-back weekends on your home field 3 and 4 weeks ago is doing a number on them. But I told him I just don't necessarily see it. I would love to be wrong. I would love for this LSU team to come out and play its best weekend of the year this weekend and win 2 or 3 baseball games. That feels like a tall ask with 4 true freshmen in the lineup. It just does. So we'll see. I'm fired up to be here, though. Full report on LouisianaSports.net coming this weekend. We'll have draft coverage as well. But we're here for some baseball, and hopefully LSU can play a solid brand of baseball here on this Friday. I remind you about Two Brothers. We are here. Just incredible stuff. This is a real gem here in Starkville. They brought us in some crawfish from the Butcher Block, the Butcher Shop and Seafood Market and Steakhouse in the Depot District of Bay St. Louis. That's within striking distance of us there in South Louisiana. And then if you're here in Starkville and you're listening to me riding on into town, they'll have live music tonight and tomorrow. And if you're not coming here, they've got their wings at Inside Duty Noble, which is just walking distance here. They are, as I mentioned earlier, the best wings I've ever had. It's truly smoked wings. Got a good crunch on them, phenomenal flavor. You can taste the smokiness. It's awesome stuff, and they've treated us great here on the balcony of the Cotton District. It's a beautiful spring Friday here in Starkville. We're glad to be here and appreciate y'all for hanging out with us. We got some more to do here over the course of the next 30 minutes. I'm going to try to run Rivers down and see if she can chat some baseball and just some general Starkville musings with us here on this Friday. So we'll try to do that, plus a look ahead at the New Orleans Saints and what they've got to do over the next couple of rounds as well. So don't go anywhere. This is a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. HighlandIG.com is the website. You know, storm season is always around the corner, and now it quite literally is around the corner. And so the time to look at your property policy as a business is not when the storm's in the Gulf. There's going to be a moratorium on coverage. You're not getting anything new bound at that point. So make sure now that your property policy is in order. Make sure your building is properly evaluated. Make sure that your deductible fits your risk appetite. Make sure you're not incurring co-insurance penalties. If these are not things that you're confident in your policy right now, you need to be able to trust your insurance broker. So you need to go with the Highland Insurance Group. Jonathan Carbo and his team are experts in the insurance field. They can make sure your policy is written properly. So if we get one of those nasty storms coming up later this summer, you're covered from a business interruption perspective, from a building perspective, all that goes into that property policy. Highland Insurance Group, they can serve you all through the state in Louisiana. They're online at HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Hanging out here at Two Brothers Smoke Meats in the Cotton District. Just got some breaking news that doesn't sound awesome. Kason Evans was listed as LSU starting pitcher on Twitter, and when they released the lineups to the media earlier, he has been scratched from today's start. Gavin Guidry is going to start for LSU today. I don't have any further information from you. This is not going to be a situation where Jay thought the matchup was better with Guidry or is like pitching off, because he announced Kason Evans as the starter 35 minutes ago. So I'm not reporting any news. I'm just connecting context clues here. This is probably physical. Again, I don't know that. He might be sick. Like, he might have gotten a stomach bug and he went down there to try to warm up and he couldn't do it. That's possible. And then I don't know. But when there are often times where you would take your Friday starter and say, hey, we're going to throw him on Sunday. And if LSU felt that way on Tuesday because you're facing Valenkus on Friday, you don't think you can beat him, fine, that's great. That would be fine, but that's not what happened. They announced Kason Evans as a starter earlier today. They tweeted it out from the official LSU baseball Twitter feed and then released the lineups with Kason Evans in it. He's been scratched, so that's not great. So at this point, you've got Gavin Guidry going against Tomas Valenkus, and that is, to be candid, a bit of a mismatch. So I wish I had more information for you. I just learned this on Twitter a second ago. Koki Riley from The Advocate is here. He tweeted 5 minutes ago that that was the case. Again, sorry for pausing there, but I'm scrolling through looking for news as this is breaking. So, Kason Evans has been scratched. Here's the deal. I said this on Wednesday when we got the news about Jake Brown and we got the news about Cooper Moore, and this is not. We haven't confirmed this is an injury, but if you're going to have some things go sideways where your best hitter gets hurt and your number two starter is out for the year, and now your ace on Fridays is being scratched before a start. Again, this is not linear, but if it's going to happen when you're 6-12, might be the time to allow that to happen. So we'll see. I am here, obviously, in Starkville. I will be able to ask Jay Johnson post-game what the deal is, so this won't be a deal where I've got to sit back and wait for something to happen in a press conference. That's the beauty of being on site and being able to cover games. I will talk to Jay after this game is over, and we'll see what's going on with Kason Evans. But if you just hopped in the car or just tuned in and just catching up, Kason Evans has been scratched from this start for LSU. It'll be Gavin Guidry to start the game for the Tigers in this one, and that's not what the plan was an hour ago. So here we are. But it's a gorgeous Friday afternoon, and I'm not going to let that sully my mood just yet. Now, Mississippi State scores 6 in the first. Check on me after that. But at this point, I'm doing just fine. I want to remind y'all about my friends over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. It is a Friday afternoon. If you're looking for a po' boy, no better spot to grab one than Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They got awesome shrimp po' boys, fantastic catfish po' boys as well. Don't forget the beignet bites as a great dessert. Check out the entire menu online at corksfishandshrimp.com. They love to cater over at Cork. So if you've got a birthday party coming up, if you want to feed the office coming up, if you've got a graduation party or you're tailgating for some baseball at the box next weekend, Corks is happy to feed you. They got the big old trays of the crispy fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp as well, crispy shoestring fries, honey butter rolls. They got it all for you at Corks. Check out that menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. They are on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Corks, they bring you our Friday shows each and every week. Again, we're here at Two Brothers Smokes Meats here in Starkville, Mississippi, hanging out for LSU and State. Get things underway at 3 o'clock. Just after 3 o'clock is first pitch. Streaming on SEC Network Plus. You can listen to it on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. I've kind of broken this thing down from every single angle. They threw a new angle at us there with that announcement that the Kason Evans won't pitch. That's going to put a lot on William Schmidt's plate, and it's going to make Jay Johnson's bullpen decisions very interesting today. He's going to have to do it based on the situation in the game. And LSU, unfortunately, time and time again, has played from behind. And if you're sitting there down 3-0 with Tomas Valinkas on the mound, you're not going to go to your A relievers. You're going to go down the line. That's just the way that it works. And that's an impossible place to get a win from, quite frankly, if you're going against the best somebody's got and you're not able to use your best guys. So, honestly, it's going to have to be Gavin Guidry holding the rope, going out there and giving you 2 innings of quality baseball, get 6 outs, and hope that your offense finds something and can get a big hit. LSU has not done that a lot lately, and if you do that, you can allow Jay Johnson to go to his better relievers. If you don't, which they haven't, that's when games can get away from you, and that's the fear, especially when you don't have a starter who's going to go deep. Gavin Guidry can go 4 innings today if he's really got his best stuff, but you're probably looking at closer to 6 outs. And then at that point, you got to figure out who gives you the best opportunity to either stay in the game, or you got to realize that against Valinkas, you're in a tough spot. So the entire dynamics of today's game just flipped on a dime in that commercial break, which I wasn't necessarily prepared for. That's not one you have notes on in the notebook. That's one you just go, oh, really? Well, here's what's going to happen. So that's tough. I'm looking at this Mississippi State lineup that they have posted today. Garrick Fry is going to lead off for them. He's a switch hitter at the top of the order. Ace Reese, who's struggling a little bit, will hit second. And then you got Sullivan and Blake Beavis, who have been fantastic for this Mississippi State team. You've got the other Valinkas, and then towards the bottom of this order, you can do some damage. You can do some damage against Ryder Woodson, and then Kevin Milowski is in the bottom of this order. He's the catcher. He's hitting 197 on the year. So the top of the state order can hurt you. The bottom is where you got to make a little bit of hay if you're this LSU pitching staff. We'll certainly see if they're able to do that in the game today. I was asked earlier about Devin Sheeran and his availability. I would suggest he's ready to go. Yes, he threw a season high in pitches on Sunday. He was up into the 60s for the first time all year on Sunday, but you've had 4 days of rest. If you're looking for 35, 40 more pitches, I think Devin Sheeran has that. Keep in mind, Devin Sheeran has a little bit of starting experience. Not a lot, but a little bit at Mount St. Mary's. Now, that was 2 years ago, but it's not as if Devin Sheeran has spent his entire baseball life going max effort for 5 outs. Like, he has the ability and showed you last week in that game that he can still pump 96, 97 on pitch 50, 55, and 60, which he was doing on Sunday of last week as he was holding that Texas A&M offense to a reasonably low number and keeping LSU, quite frankly, in that game, although LSU's offense never showed up. So that is a weapon for LSU, but you have to have a lead or be close enough to a lead to use him. That's the issue that LSU has run into. So that's likely the issue today. And we'll see. But if you're just jumping in the car and missed it, Kason Evans scratched from his start. I want to be on the record with this. When I approached our budget team in October and November about this trip, I did not have on the itinerary that LSU was going to be 6-12, top 2 starters not available, best hitter unavailable, and 6-12 in league play, having been swept twice in a row. I did not. That wasn't on the itinerary. I had everything planned. Rivers was good enough to get us this spot at Two Brothers. We picked a great setting. It was an awesome place to be until everything. It's very, very much like Lloyd Christmas. Our pets' heads are falling off at this point. That's the significant vibe that I've got going on with this LSU baseball team right now. But as I said last week, and it proved to be really stupid to say it, but as I said last week, everything can change in one weekend. Now, it changed for the worse last weekend, but if you can go out there and find a way, it can certainly change things. But an update on Kason Evans' status is going to have to be paramount. And look, I'll tell you this as well. At this point, they don't know anything about Kason Evans' health either if it's something physical because he was in the starting lineup an hour ago. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'm here in Starkville. We'll have reports over at LouisianaSports.net all weekend long as we move forward on this weekend in Starkville, Mississippi. We'll take one more time out. We will come back. Final thought on the draft, move forward with the LSU guys, and then we will go see some baseball at the Dude. It's a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Swing Easy Golf Club also in Baton Rouge. It's a Friday afternoon. Maybe you're feeling a little bit of golf, but you don't have a tee time. That's okay. Go to Swing Easy Golf Club. You can get one of your private bays, comfortable seating. They'll bring you a bucket full of ice, cold beers, and seltzers. You and the gang can hit in there. You can turn on the driving range setting and hit some balls there. You can also go out and play Pebble Beach. You can go play where they played that tournament 2 weeks ago and gave out that big green jacket. Your options are plentiful over at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. So go by and see him on Segan at Perkins. Again, on Segan at Perkins at Swing Easy Golf Club. You want to play some golf this weekend? Don't have 5 hours to squeeze it in. Play 18 holes in an hour on the simulator at Swing Easy Golf Club in Baton Rouge. Or online at swingeasygcbr.com. swingeasygcbr.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
On a Friday afternoon in the Cotton District, Starkville, Mississippi. Over my right shoulder here, looking at Davis Wade Stadium, and about 4 o'clock. No, that's not 4. That would be 2. 2 o'clock. Duty Noble Stadium. I'm excited to get back in there for the first time in 13 years. That's a long time. That makes me feel kind of old to say that I did that as an adult, and it was 13 years ago. Oh, well. Time is what it is, I suppose. LSU Mississippi State, 3 o'clock this afternoon. If you missed it in that last segment, just jumping in the car for a carpool line or whatever it may be. Kason Evans scratched from his start today. It'll be Gavin Guidry for LSU. The Tigers with 4 true freshmen in the lineup. 4 true freshmen. None of the 4 transfers that came in are in the lineup today. This is week 7 of SEC play. That's a tough pill to swallow for Jay Johnson and this team. So on that note, let's transition over to football. I think a big day for a couple of LSU Tigers today. I believe A.J. Halsey will have his name called pretty quickly in the draft today. I think he is a second-round pick. You're talking about a guy who went to New Mexico, made 24 tackles in a single game as a freshman. Just immediate production right away at New Mexico. Transfers to Houston, becomes the Big 12 Defensive Newcomer of the Year, was an impact tackler and interception specialist for that team at Houston. When LSU signed him, I said, look, that's a guy who is going to be productive. He's been productive everywhere he's ever been. He's going to be productive at LSU. And turns out he made 88 tackles. That was second on the team. He led LSU with 3 interceptions. He was an incredible piece to that LSU defense that made strides this year. And so for him to go in the second round, which is what I think will happen today, after Mansour Delane goes 6th overall, a team trades up to go get him at 6th. I think that would be a great statement for DBU, and I think that would be great for A.J. Halsey. And I think whoever gets him will feel really good about that. I remember the first day I saw A.J. Halsey at practice. We were actually in the indoor, and we were up on the catwalk up there. And I looked down, and I could just see that he was a physical presence down there. And when you paired that with the statistics he had put together, it was pretty obvious that he was going to be a pretty impact player, and he was huge for that LSU team. So I think it's going to be a big day for him. And I think it's going to be a big day for Garrett Nussmeier. I mentioned yesterday on the show that I thought it was really cool that the Saints were allowing Doug Nussmeier to sit out of the draft process. I'm sure he's given tons of input on the guys that he sees, but the Saints are not really in the market for a quarterback, and he's the guy that works with the quarterbacks most closely. So for him, he's probably given some thoughts. He was probably well involved in the Jordan Tyson discussion and film breakdown. Now he's going to allow that staff to go do its work, and he's going to spend some time as a dad. And I think that's a great thing. And I think Garrett is going to be a third-round pick. I think it'll be tonight when he goes. I'm hopeful that he does. I think that the fact that his medical diagnosis happened and was so definitive and was so unlikely to return. Like, this is not like the Saints with Tyson where, he tore the knee up and then the hamstring was sore and then the other hamstring. This is, like a cyst formed on his spine. I'm not going to ding the guy for that. If you need to, you go take it out. You miss a couple of weeks and you move forward. His draft process was a good one. He went to the Senior Bowl. He was the highest velocity throw at the Senior Bowl. He threw the longest ball in the air at the Senior Bowl. He went to the Combine and worked out. The medical looks good on him. I thought the production was great. You're talking about the 3rd all-time leading passer in the history of LSU football. The 2nd LSU passer ever to reach 4,000 yards in a season. The 3rd quarterback ever to throw for 7,000 yards. Did his career at LSU end the way you would have liked it to end? It did not. It ended essentially with the sack against Texas A&M where they took him off the field, and then you went to Tuscaloosa, and things didn't go great there either, and then he sat the last 4 games. That's not the way you envisioned it, but that doesn't take away from everything else that you saw from Garrett Nussmeier, which was a guy that signed with LSU out of high school, was a guy who could have transferred 3 different times, sat behind 2 starters, earned his keep, went out there with 2 teams that had a bad offensive line and no running game, and played as hard as he possibly could for LSU and wanted to be the quarterback at LSU. And it just didn't work out at the end. The storybook after him coming back and the huge expensive roster, it didn't work. But that doesn't mean that his professional career is railroaded by any stretch of the imagination. I'm looking forward to Garrett tonight, and hopefully he gets his name called, finds an advantageous spot, maybe behind a veteran, and can earn his spot in the league because he's, by all accounts, a great kid, and I thought represented LSU extremely well, despite the fact that his last year was so injury-riddled starting in early August, quite frankly. The year just never got started. Which is just a massive bummer. But that's the 2 guys that I have eyes on today. Of course, you've got a lot of other Tigers who are in the mix. I couldn't even name them all, quite frankly. But you're talking about Barryon Brown, who I think will be a reasonably early selection. Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton on the edges have an opportunity to be draft picks. I thought that West Weeks had a great pro day. Hopefully he's a guy that comes off the board at a reasonable spot as well. You got a lot of guys. Certainly wide receiver, we'll be pulling for Chris Hilton. We'll see how all those guys shake out. We'll have a tracker up at LouisianaSports.net, and we'll react to all the landing spots for those guys as the draft draft materializes over the next 2 days. But we're here one final time at Two Brothers Smoke Meats in the Cotton District. If you ever come to Starkville, maybe you're not here this weekend, but if you ever come up for a football game, for a baseball weekend, for a campus visit for a kiddo of yours, I cannot recommend Two Brothers enough. The space was great. They were incredibly hospitable to us. They wheeled out a mimosa bucket and a mimosa tower for our party here, which was fantastic, and the best wings I have ever had right here at Two Brothers in Starkville. They boiled us some crawfish as well. Great spot in the Cotton District, walking distance to Dudy Noble, walking distance to Davis Wade. So can't give them high enough marks here at Two Brothers. We really appreciate them having us. With that being said, Jordan, I guess there's only one thing left to do. That's a little bit of take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
All right, with the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft completed, sportsbooks across the nation have released their lines for the league's Rookie of the Year honors. Arizona Cardinals running back Jeremiah Love is the plus 200 favorite, followed by Tennessee Titans wide receiver Cardinal Tate at plus 350, and Las Vegas quarterback Fernando Mendoza rounding it out at plus 400. So is Love the front runner for Rookie of the Year in your eyes? Take it or leave it.
I will leave it, and it's probably not because I know what I'm talking about. It's actually because Jordan, I don't know squat about the Arizona Cardinals. Like, I don't know anything about them.
Don't feel bad about it.
What do I got on them?
Don't feel bad. Nobody knows much about them.
What else we got?
All right, so the Los Angeles Rams made a bold pick in the first round, taking quarterback Ty Simpson, 13 overall, and it's made some head-scratching visuals because Sean McVay was visibly upset, even going to say that after the pick was made that this is still Matthew Stafford's team. So did the Rams make a mistake in drafting Ty Simpson? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Most quarterbacks don't work out. What that pick screamed to me was organizational stability. I realized McVay's press conference didn't do a lot to echo that, but like you make that pick if you feel like you've got a great roster currently, you've got a stable coach who's not fighting for his job. You just feel like that's an asset you would like to have and it's projectable. You're not in a rush to plug some gap. You feel like your team's good enough to win the Super Bowl already. You know your coach is good, and you just feel like that's a really good chance to hit on your next quarterback because yours is old. I think Matt Stafford and a lot of people in that room would probably rather a team that close to the Super Bowl make a pick that can help you win the Super Bowl, and Ty Simpson is not going to help you win the Super Bowl. But it screams organizational stability to me, and the Rams have been really good for a number of years.
All right, so the New York Yankees are reportedly, the New York Yankee players are reportedly pushing for the first alternate jersey in team history. The Athletic's Brendan Cuddy reported that players recently pitched the higher-ups on wearing a Navy practice jersey featuring a New York watermark across the front of it. It's basically, and I think they'll wear gray pants. So the Yankees are already the only MLB team without an alternate uniform. So the Yankees ditching tradition. Take it or leave it.
What do you think I'm going to say?
Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Exactly. This would be the exact moment where I lose the battle. The Yankees are all I have left. Everyone else has capitulated to garbage, has decided they're going to wear heinous uniforms at one point or another. The Yankees are the bastion of tradition and civility in uniform logic. I adore them for that. And if they bail, I've lost the war. Like, I'm the last guy. It's me and a bunch of 94-year-old men that are standing there trying to hold the line against the alternative uniform crowd. And we've tried. We've held it for years. If the Yankees crack, we die. We cease to exist. We are wiped off the face of the planet. So that's it. That's all I can sit here and say. Like, if the Yankees buckle, we've lost the war. I'm already never going to see the Cubs play at 1:20 until they ditch these alternate uniforms. That's the best time to go see the Cubs play, a Friday at 1:20, and I can't go because they're going to wear powder blue uniforms. So if the Yankees bail, we've all lost.
All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It. Take it or leave it.
Well, over the last 30 minutes, here's what's happened. Case Evans got scratched, and I don't know why. Jordan's bringing up the Yankees using alternative uniforms. everybody left. I feel like I'm ending on a cranky note, and I don't want to do that. So I'm not. I'm going to end on a positive note here. I love it right here in Starkville, in the Cotton District at Two Brothers. This is right up my alley. It's a phenomenal place, a phenomenal setting, and we've had a great time here over the course of the last 5 hours. It is really thinned out because everybody's headed over to the Dude, and I cannot wait to get my eyes on that college baseball mecca. Full reports coming at LouisianaSports.net, and hopefully LSU does us proud a couple of times here over the weekend. We'll just have to see. But a great day. Appreciate everyone here for all their hospitality. If you missed any of the show today, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Hunt Palmer Show, Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints as well. Matt's going to drive you home next on After Further Review. I'm headed to Duty Noble. See y'all on Monday.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Fabry Chevrolet GMC, FabryChevrolet.com. FabryChevrolet.com is that website. Look, the Fabry family's been at this for 35 years. You know the name, you know the reputation. Amazing customer service, wonderful buying experience. The service after the sale is top-notch. That's how you establish a brand in Baton Rouge, and the Fabry family's done it. And they've got that new point on Highway 61 in St. Francisville. So if you're looking for a new Chevy, they got you. Looking for a new GMC, they got you. The entire inventory is online at FabryChevrolet.com. So if you'd like to start your buying process online, do that. Check out the inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles at FabryChevrolet.com. Up to $11,000 off of Chevy Tahoes, up to $13,000 off GMC Sierras. Phenomenal deals, phenomenal people, phenomenal customer service. Highway 61 in St. Francisville, Fabry Chevrolet. Get on by and see them this weekend. Get yourself a new ride here in the spring of 2026 at Fabry Chevrolet.